of summer. When they won the NLC, it was just saying, these are the weapons we know how to use best. Let's stick to them.
Georgia?
And I agree with you because not only, okay, I don't care too much about Comfort because yes, this is how they turned around their best of 5 versus in the finals of summer, but it feels like for me, the setup for Yasuo is a little difficult and a little bit, I don't know, it's like skill shots basically. Is the Brom ult going to land?
They put it on hard mode.
Yeah,
yes.
you have a knock-up, it's not Gragas, yeah.
As in, when you do see the Kai'Sa usually locked in, or like types of Ezreal, or like champions that can usually jump around, and you know that you have the Nautilus player in your team, you might usually go for it, but I think right here, if I turn nameplates completely off, if I don't know how these two teams have played throughout the tournament, I'm really favoring Astralis right here.
Interesting.
The front to back looks impeccable. The peeling looks impeccable. Kai'Sa can actually evade fights with her ultimate, go to the other back of the end of the fight, together with an Aatrox, together with the Sylas. And honestly, if I turn the nameplates back on, Senkax on the Sylas has been absolutely insane for this season.
Yeah, and that's actually the point which I wanted to follow up on as well, because while you can see, a lot of comfort picks for Dusty, do not sleep on what Astralis have done, particularly through Senkax as well. Loads of players at Worlds have ruined games on Aatrox and Sylas. So as soon as you mentioned those two picks, I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking too. And that's why I really want to see how this mid lane plays out too. You can see Backland Senkax trading hard, melee versus melee matchup.
Absolutely, and again, Senkax was part of the magic that won Astralis that 5th game madness that what it was against JDXL. He and Carlson had a phenomenal game on the Akali and Tryndamere respectively, and see whether the Sylas here, Senkax champion that has been so potent over the recent patches, can turn up to play here today. And, you know, especially considering, as you said, maybe not always the easiest game to get things like the Yasuo rolling when there aren't the obvious knockups in the same way as actually pretty aggressive trading for him from Kiba. Down with the Ignite. Catherine Rain won't land. Sten still has to flash though, so good trade there for Astralis in the bot lane.
I mean, for sure, Ignite for Flash, you take those any day. You still have the Bandit Tosses for Kiba if he wants to go straight back in. And the second the Taxer also resets and comes back to the map, you could potentially see him walking through lane, trying to force a kill onto Sten now that he's flashless. My biggest... that's what I want to say. The biggest point right here is that Taxer is on a facilitating jungler and he loves playing around Senkax.
Fabulous! The moment you speak about it, there he goes with Backland, still getting to slide and glide away, does not have to use the flash, so summoner down from Taxer, and now Linces gets the pullback! Hard mode does not matter, they still land it! This guy is too clean!
Oh, and Linces has been such a star for this Dusty roster. When they had their run at EU Masters this summer, a lot of it was off of the carry play of Linces. Having Linces and Backland, having these weird and wonderful combos, the Taliyah Yasuo is not something we see from pretty much any other team globally right now, at least not in my purview anyway. And to see them get off the ground early is a really awkward point now for Astralis. We talked about how important Senkax has been for Astralis. Senkax and Taxa, the engine room of that team. Yeah, well, Dusty do it, and arguably they do it better.
Quick question for all of you, a little bit of a pop quiz. Linces has played 4 games of Taliyah so far this season. That I've been able to get stats a hold of anyway. 4 games. What do you think his KDA is, guys, this year on the tournament?
12. Let's
21.
Ooh, 13.6.
Ooh.
Not bad. Georgia's like, yeah, no, he's just not dying.
Whenever anyone brings up that kind of question, I'm like, it's gotta be something absurd. So I try and play like the haha, I'll get it wrong. I'll do something like 7, and it's like, no, it's 50. I mean, this guy has just been so important on this pick. And as we said, you know, we often talk about Backland. It is Backland and Linces together, though, that really make this team shine.
It's not a Magi's, but it is still a library in his inventory. Backs off with the first blood and just picks up 3 Amtones, because why not? Just get some AP on the board.
Why not 3 books over 1?
Precisely, exactly. Quality is a quantity all of its own. Tax, though, does go for an invade. Won't quite be able to get a hold of the Gorm, but actually just says thank you for the leash. Doesn't even let the patience wear out.
Okay, I found what happened in the middle a little bit of a whoopsie because I feel like Taxer and Senkax did not chain up their CCs properly to at least get a flash off of Backland. But what is going really well for Taxer right now is that he has 2 priors of lane and a 3rd one if he so wishes to. Senkax can burn a lot of mana to try and push in that wave if they need that. Bot lane's doing great, they're pushing ahead, even though saying that...
Ooh, another big trade. The door goes up. Kiba still on pretty high HP, but will get tagged with a concussive blow into
I think you'll find it's like
arrow.
a waffle sandwich.
Hang on, you are going to have to expand on that.
It's because it's the Braum skin. Is this just a, yep,
Yes,
it's no
it's
longer
the
ice,
it's
it's
a
just...
waffle sandwich.
I thought this was a strange analogy. Okay, you know what? I'm just going to
That's
leave that
fair.
happening there.
That's fine, I'm with Georgia. It is a waffle sandwich with this one.
Okay, you know what? That's more than fine. But what we are seeing is that waffle sandwich being used to clobber Kiba and Chrisberg over the head. 10 CS lead now in bot lane. Top side doing fine for herself in mid lane after that gank went down and getting a lead in that melee versus melee matchup. All the lanes of Dusty are starting to get their own advantages off the ground. 1.5k ahead already for the blue side team in Dusty. They are very happy with this. I think one of the problems that we all had was actually how do you enable the Astro? It's kind of hard to get those knockups in. Does it matter when you are just ahead and you can make plays like this because you can be anywhere?
Great flash
You know what, Sam?
required. Yeah?
Plus points for using waffle sandwich in a play-by-play moment.
all right, I'll get it down. Let's see what we can make happen. Waffling is certainly something we're doing right now.
Wait, hold on.
A bit of trading going on. Exactly. Grandmaster's Might is available now for Kerberos. Uses it, but Carlson looking for the solo bolo. He's going to go under the tower. Takes a fair amount of damage, but no kill coming through. Kerb on the wrong end of that play, but still just about okay. No dive coming because Tax is not around.
And what we've seen is like both the big players we've seen in mid and top now is the Dusty solo laners looking at what Astralis are doing and holding their discipline, not even blowing their flashes, which means that if Backlund does get ganked in a situation like this, he has an extra degree of safety to work with.
Lincers, though, will face check and find Taxa. Ends up on a
That
bandage
is so
cross. Well, but
sick!
here instead, on the other side, Backlund gets the ignite on Senkox, flashing forward with the Beyblade, and he lets it rip, does not eat dirt, and gets to walk on out again. Fantastic solo kill in mid lane.
But Backlund CC'd Senkox, who had stolen the Yasuo ult to stop him joining the play. Sick coordination from Dusty to keep themselves alive.
That's genius.
That sucks if you're an Astralis fan. Let's say it as it is. Because they have the setup on the jungler. They've got the Valka. They're like, we'll gank every single lane. Well, freaking Lintas is there every single time. This is not fun for Taxa. This is not fun for Astralis. And of course, we've said it over and over again. 3 things are certain this life. Death, Taxer playing around mid lane, trying to get Senkox ahead. This was the case again. They took Kiba in the mid lane and it just does not work because Dusty is reading them like an open book. And again, here you see the tornado from Backland using it onto Senkox to not allow him to join this fight, because if he did and then Chains connected onto Lincers, that was a dead Talia. You make this into a 2 versus 3 and you can potentially chase for more kills right there. But such great coordination. This is what we've talked about for Dusty. Again, you think somebody's getting caught? No, the entire team is wrapping around.
Try it again. First it didn't succeed. The third attempt. There's 4 members here. And finally they get a kill. They make it work.
Do you spam in alt chat right here? Like, you want to bring your top laner too, maybe?
So just like play safe mid lane. And you know what's even crazier? Backlund almost turned that play around. If he gets that knock up with the tornado, he gets his ult, gets a passive shield, and maybe he gets another shield. Astralis just about went out with that play, and it is the start of something good for them. They've really needed something to break this momentum which Dusty have been building. They finally get a kill. They get themselves Herald. That is so important. If that play had failed, they would be in a very dangerous point where they're getting snowballed on much harder than they can deal with.
They definitely managed to make the most of it, get a hold of that Herald. All the while, Lincers to get a little bit more free time to pull a bit further ahead in that farm. Let's get into this bot side and get a couple plates down here. So there is still a trade at least. But it was a good sequence of plays there to get Astralis something on the board, because they had been falling pretty heavily behind, because every play they made, it seemed like it just gone wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the second you need to bring 4 members into the mid lane to shut down one Yasuo, that, by the way, is flashless in the mid lane, you know that Astralis are in deep, deep trouble. Bot lane, Chrisberg has fallen behind, and Voxnet 20 CS up at this point. He's gotten 2 tire platings in the bot lane as well, if I'm not wrong. So I think it all depends on how you choose to use that Rift Herald. Do you pop it in the mid lane trying to shove in that wave? Do you pop it in the mid lane trying to get the attention of Dusty and then move straight into this river to try and start the dragon? And even if you do you start winning fights? Even though top lane is looking pretty good for Carlson, but he's also fallen behind in CS. Every single lane, and especially in the jungle as well for Astralis, it's like slowly bleeding.
And even then, Jax has a cull. Kerberos is happy to play around that. Kiba Has level 6, and of course, with Herald on the table, every fight which explodes, you just need to be aware that the Herald could be dropped in the aftermath of it. So very much keep your eyes on where Taxa is in regards to those plays happening. But Dusty, I mean, as you're saying, yeah, I mean, top lane is going fine for Kerberos. He doesn't even mind staying even in this lane. Eventually, he's going to get to the point where he can just win the extended trades versus the Aatrox. Actually, one thing which is interesting to me, Kerberos has taken the grasp in this lane. Now, I saw a lot of lethal tempo jacks into Aatrox, specifically because eventually, later into the game, you can just beat him just to death as you jump in with the Q and you win the extended trades. But I think even with that, with the rune choices, the Jax does tend to beat out the Aatrox, has the cull anyway to get to that point faster, as long as he survives, and he's doing just that.
I know that was something Jamada brought out on the desk as well. As actually bot side. Never mind talk about top lane, bot lanes where it's at Kiva. Has to throw down the Q and that Curse of the Sad Mummy to disengage. Summoner traded out there by Chrisberg, who was not looking for that arrow and does manage to get on out though with that Summoner used.
You still burn that cleanse though, and next time there's a fight, and mind you, still that Rift Herald is expiring. Almost a quarter of its duration left. You see that Taxa is playing towards that bot side of the map. Maybe they're trying to bait the bot lane to overextend and trying to make a play towards that side. But Linces has smelled the play yet again. He is around. He has the wall. He can join.
Chrisberg's got to be very afraid. There's the wall, but the use of that Nature's Grasp going to prevent too much more of an easy ingress. No disengage for now, but Chrisberg chunked out. Dragon's available. Has been available now for a little while. Hasn't been taken by anybody yet.
Yeah, and you can see that Taxa is really trying to get this Herald into a damn lane, but Dusty making Astralis' decisions hard there, because you can see that Linces goes bot. Actually, at the same time, you can see it on the minimap. Backlund just headed topside, just in case Taxa was there as well. He shoves out the lane and goes, you know, you're covering bot, I'll cover top as well. So what Dusty ended up doing is split up their mid-jungle to cover the entire map, so Astralis didn't have an easy option to drop that Herald. And again, it's just burning down that duration. Taxa now going to be struggling to really find good value from this objective, which was meant to be this big turning point for them. They finally got that pick in mid. They translated that into a Herald. What's that going to really culminate in, though? Not much right now.
Yeah, and also Backlund walking in and taking the chickens as well. It makes sure, guaranteed that Tax is going to play towards the bot side of the map, but towards the bot side, they have major priority for the side of Dusty, so he's going to have to walk all the way to the other side. He gets spotted in the Tribush Wood as well. He has to pop the Herald right here, which means the money will most likely go towards Carlson. Will he even be able to get close enough to the tower to cash in the money? Because Linces is around, Stendy's around, Taxa just about evades that knock-up right there, and Backlund is on his way too. It feels like Dusty, when it comes to back, when it comes to movement on the map, they're always one step ahead. They will read your play, they will shut it down, and then they will make theirs in return. And so far, so good. It's netted them about 1,500 gold in 12 minutes into the game. Every single lane is ahead in CS. They've been able to take tower plates everywhere. So far, so good. For a team that thrives at actually team fighting, you're doing great in the early game.
Yeah, I mean, at least Astralis get something out of that Herald, right? At least they get something out of it. They get something onto that Aatrox, and as we said, eventually the Jax is going to be a real problem in a 1v1 sense for Carlson. Very start of the game, though, we were talking about, actually, if you look at this draft with the nameplates off, how do we feel about it? Well, with an Aatrox and a Silas, you look at the World's Games and you tell me what are the power champions on this patch. These two are very much up there, so having Carlson with that extra gold, having the Herald put up there, is something for Astralis to play around. And all they really need is one explosive team fight to make us question what's happening. Remember, Dusty's comp quite hard to pilot if they get into those difficult situations where they're not calling the shots.
Oh no, the war just expired.
That means that Carlson's in danger. Tower does go down, but at what cost? All the while, Dragon being taken on the side. Flash for the counter-strike into the shove back. But that seismic shove does not secure the kill, and Carlson now beginning to heal up. It's just not enough. Another auto secures it. But the tower did go down, so did the Drake, and it's only a kill back. So even then, Astralis, not as unhappy as they could have been as a result of that play.
I said that's kind of worth it for Astralis right here. Yes, you sacrifice your top laner, but you get to shove in bot lane, you shove in mid lane, you take the dragon, you take tier 1 top lane with a bunch of tower platings, pre-minute 14 as well. I think this is super worth it. Now, I think the fate lies on Carlson's shoulders because he's the most fed member right now in the team, and we all know what an Aatrox can do in a team fight. The only problematic thing that I see here happening for Astralis is that Aliyah. Unless you find a way to assassinate that Aliyah, she's gonna be blocking the way of dashing and getting into the backline every single time. And since your team consists of 4 melees and a very short AD carry that Kai'Sa is, getting that Aliyah out of the picture early on is gonna be very instrumental for your team fights.
Yeah, and I very much agree with the Talia. I also think the Varus can be put into that equation too, because Varus are the brawn behind them. Yeah, well, yeah, Chrisbug doesn't have that same degree of safety.
Chrisbug did not enjoy that. Has to flash on out. The Ignite won't quite secure the kill, and that Nature's Grasp locks the Yasuo down for now. Everfrost comes through, and the turnaround is phenomenal! Kiba cursed them all. The Sad Mummy gets one back, but now what about the turnaround? Another Q comes through. That bandage shot's not enough to get them out to safety, and he needs to go straight to the morgue, never mind the hospital. Pulled back is Kerberos getting that kill onto Carlson, courtesy of Linsis. And that means it's still a 2-for-1, because Chrisbug really did not want to join that fight after being chunked so low.
And that's the big thing, right? That fight looked pretty good for Astralis. Kiba, monstrous engage with that ultimate. Except your AD carry's already been chunked out. Yeah, backline ends up dying through at that, but it ends up being 2-for-1 because one team had the consistent damage source of a ranged AD carry in a very largely melee game. The other one had Kai'Sa just completely chunked out, so they couldn't contribute.
Well, we got a replay, and Georgia, care to take us through this one? Because I thought Chrisbug was dead to rights, but the turnaround looked good.
Yeah, he held on his ult and he held onto his cleanse, which he could have used for Ignite and saved him some HP. But that was a lovely Everfrost into three members engaging onto Butland in the mid lane. I think Kiba right here overextends a tiny bit. He sees three members. He's like, I'm gonna get that big ult down, but there is a teleport that comes in from Kerberos. And the most important thing is your AD carry cannot join these fights.
Oh,
but right here, Astralis have overextended again.
Flash over the wall, but look who's already there instead, looking to get down some Winter's Bite. Kiba trying to run away, but nowhere to go. Backlane gets vengeance for the engager mid lane. Turnaround from Astralis now. Stolen. Glacial Fissure, there's the name of that ultimate. Took me a second, but Senkux wishes he was given a little bit more time. Gonna get knocked up, but flashes on out and uses that abscond to get alive in Backland. Playing with fire does not secure a kill.
Holy. Okay, so again, Astralis are trying to reach for something. Dusty read the play and they take something in return. And this is the push in the bot lane. Astralis have to back out because they don't know how many members there's down there, which means that Chrisbug has to play underneath his tower. You take control of that bot side of the map. You take that kill, which goes on to Jax, if I'm not wrong, right here. And you just basically start zoning Astralis away. You grab flash from Taxa. You grab flash from Senkux as well.
Wow. Alex, you got something to say about this?
Yeah, for sure, because remember a lot of the early game and what we were talking about was, okay, cool, look at these compositions, look at how they're meant to play out. Oh yeah, but Dusty are really good at team fighting. And that's what we've seen in this game, is that, you know, Dusty, they had some really good early game movements. You could see what happened with some bits of this composition, but it's come down to these two big team fights in a row, and even though that engage in mid lane looked like it should have been a good turnaround for Astralis, Dusty just outplayed. Bot lane, similar story. They just find a way to win out on these fights. And now we're starting to get to the point where, you know, Dusty gave this trouble really over to Riddle as well, because it was just a point where it's like, okay, cool, you're even in the mid game, or just about. You can compete. Now you have to out team fighters, and very few teams can do that. Let's see if they can do it again.
Good attempt. Teleports coming through, Nature's Grasp coming down, stand left out to dry. The door is not enough. It's a good shove back on Senkux. Trying to heal it back up, but not enough. Now the turnaround from the side of Dusty ensures it's a 2-for-2. Carlson healing back up, throws down the Infernal Chain, but Kerberos will not be denied. Another seismic shove gets two. Who said it was hard mode? They will finally get rid of the Yasuo, but Vixus has to use the stopwatch and gets out with it. Oh my god, Dusty.
Oh, he goes gold as his team is going for gold. First game of this grand finals of the Aurora Open. Dusty are putting their pedigree on the table and saying, drafts be damned, we will just out team fight you. That was beautiful. Yeah, there was a bit of flamboyant kind of showboating at the end, maybe a bit unnecessary. That's honestly, he buys up the full item at the end of this anyway. Who gives a damn? But Dusty are so impeccable when it comes to the group fights.
I think we might have to turn our eyes towards the dragon as it's about to spawn. There's another Herald in Lince's infantry from a fight earlier on as well. He's got a Zhonya's, and that's what he completed off that last play. And now I think we're about to see round two, people. Here we go, Sten. Just about alive, throws up the door. Here come the rest of Dusty. Over the wall they go. Keeper taken solo, taken out. Does not get to do anything there. That Sad Mummy sent straight back to the pyramid, not to awaken again, and they're down their support as this dragon's alive. Herald shoving in mid as well. Georgia.
I mean, I was about to say, if you can make a pick very early on, it's not going to be the Talia, the Hourglass. I feel like is so clever from Linces, because he's like, I'm the win condition right here. As long as I'm alive, as long as I'm zoning all of these melee champions off of my carries, then we win the fight. So he knows, he purchases the hourglass right there. And of course, Astralis, they're trying to find the pick on the stand. Stand is a tanky boy. He's the most tanky boy in this team right here. And he doesn't even need an item to do so, which means that Astralis end up going down. 6,000 gold right now in the lead for Dusty. They'll take the first dragon as well. A dragon which is actually extremely... The dragons have been extremely slow in this particular game, and I feel like it's because both
blood
teams
is
have been,
more important.
yeah, they've been more eager to like start killing each other rather than take the objective. But hey, we take those because the faster we get into the team fights, the faster people are also gonna get to witness how freaking good Dusty are in coordinating their spells around team fights.
Yeah, and typically when we look at Astralis as to when you are in this position, who is going to stand up and pull you out of the rut? Who's going to be the playmaker for you? You look towards Senkux, first and foremost, particularly on something like that Silas. So let's look at that mid lane matchup. 4 and 3 versus 0 and 2. I think that's actually really important to know. This is a great litmus test for the two teams. Both of these teams have star mid laners, incredible team fighters, incredible skirmishers and playmakers. And Backlund is the one that is benefiting the most from the way his team plays and his own level of play in this first game, compared to Senkux, who has been struggling by just how good Dusty have been at team fighting.
And you add on top of that, Linces now at 3-0-7, only missed out on participating in one of those kills, having a phenomenal game. And there are so many dashes that he throws down that minefield, and you have an awful time as Astralis diving in, because he just gets the freest shoves afterwards the moment you try to engage too far and too deep. Baron was a consideration, but they're just rotating everybody up here to try for a T1. And maybe, just maybe, I should be looking in the inventory of this Talir, because I spy a Magi Chimera.
No, I'll talk about that later. Go, Georgia, go.
Actually, I wanted to say that I'm seeing a lot of numbers in general, the sort of Dusty, and a lot of these numbers are also bounties. You try to catch somebody on a side lane, Linces or Kebros, that has overextended a couple of times over the summer split as well. So this is what Astralis are looking for, but right here, they're trying to engage on a full-on 5 versus 5 for Kebros. That's if his teleport available, does he need to join? But all Dusty have to do is just take the attention of Astralis, back off, let Kebros push in on another lane.
But key moment there was Backlund blocked out the Silasol, stopped the hijack, stealing the Varusol. You have a Senkux on Silas who with Flash and E, if he steals that Varusol when that Maokai ult is coming in, that is the perfect storm to start firing in that Varusol onto one of these extended targets in this top lane. Key micro moment there from Dusty's mid laner to stop that engage being perfect for Astralis.
That's twice we've seen that. We saw that in the mid lane to prevent the Yasuo ult onto Linces in the mid lane earlier on that kind of broke that mid lane open. We see it again now. Backlund has been really on it with these interrupts, just knows the higher end skill ceiling on this champion, and we've seen it honestly from both the mid jungle of Dusty this game. We said, what the easiest game to set up for the Yasuo? Doesn't feel like it, frankly, this game. Dusty have been really playing with that kind of swagger we've seen from over the last few series. Yes, it's been perhaps a little messy, but they've certainly been confident as they now look to invade into this red side jungle.
Yeah, and look what that means for the jungle CS. 178 to 97 right now between Linces and Taxa. Taxa, he is the one who is being taxed this game. Linces has become the taxman himself and has got a heck of a lot of items. 3 built up with, of course, the Magi Soul Sealer inbound. As the sole AP threat on this team, and as Trouble's been calling it, the win condition for this team, they are setting themselves up for a huge amount of damage in these team fights. And having this item build now compared to this sad sapling of Maokai, Taxa really doesn't have much he can do.
Yeah, I feel like we saw it at Worlds as well, when one jungler picks sort of like the facilitator, the ganker, the one that's going to set up your fights, right? Like Setsuanis and Maokais and all that, into the likes of Graves and Nidalee and Talia that just want to farm, get items carried later on. Your value comes from actually getting ganks done, taking summoners, making the early game a little bit more oppressive for your opponents, right? If that early game doesn't work out, and unfortunately for Astralis, it hasn't. Every single gank was read from Dusty, and it was returned back to them. Oh, this one though.
Gonna try. Demfox there has been left out to dry. Nothing to be found there. He is dead to rights, claimed by Senkux, and a big moment there. The gank may not have worked out earlier on in the game, but the plays in the jungle do this time around. And now with the AD carry dead, maybe Astralis see an angle at Baron.
Why is he the one face-checking? Why is the immobile Varus with so little appeal to their name the one walking up first? But that key moment of error has led to Astralis finding another one of these openings. They've had precious few in this, and now they get to start the Baron. Stolen Varus, what can they do with it?
Sankux goes in, tries to find a good angle, but gets shoved back because they knew exactly where he was gonna be. Lince is on a rampage, flash for the Winters by on the other side. Backlund gets away from the engage with Chrisberg and Kiba. Taken low, but certainly not out. And now Astralis are the ones on the retreat. Weaver's wall comes through. Kiba does not land the bandage shot, has to flash out of the seismic shove. Backlund still running on the other side of the map. Linces gets that one. What can Backlund do? Apparently enough to get away. They get
Run
to,
away.
and now they could turn to Baron.
I mean, this was I think this is a great showing again from of Dust's team fighting, because while they were trying to engage towards the top side of the map, Senkax has a pretty good ult on the side as well. As Backlund do? He zones away both Kiba and Chrisberg. They can't join. That Kai'Sa that we said can jump into the backline and assassinate cannot join. Taxer cannot join this pit. Does have the smite, but if you can't get in, you cannot steal.
He just used his twisted advance. And that means now that the rest of Dusty can start running for potential kills. Kerberos and Sten in a 2v2 that they seem to be winning, but Kerberos has got a stacks. The Sterax, there we go.
Okay, fair.
He doesn't
You know
flash.
what,
I saw that.
Well, see, Kerberos has the stacks, yes, but Linces now has many more stacks. 15 gets an opportunistic fight around that Baron and chooses not to flash over and preserve those on the Medjais. And between Linces, with that, and then Backlund managing to slide, glide, engage them in the bot lane of Astralis in the 2v2, and then get out alive. Dusty are just styling all over Astralis, and Kerberos is dying.
Kerberos is about to maybe make us feel a bit bad about it, but Leaf strikes away! Blue buff stolen by Linces, and now Keeper taken dead to right. It will be a 1-for-1 though. Here they come through the Hex Gates. Backlund is here, and he is back all right. We know exactly how this one goes in the back streets, or at least the back end of the jungle. Senkax going golden, a 3v4. Will Chrisberg go back in? No, he will not. A piercing arrow will send him away. Weaver's wall keeps Astralis away from the minion wave. It's a 1-for-1. What on earth is this game?
I'm not saying that this particular kill is going to bring Astralis back into the game, but if that's to do this for about another 10-15 times, for sure it will. Because it shows obviously how eager they are to actually fight, because they have the item. But look at this here. Senkax Taxer from the side.
Backlund's trying to glide his way around. So much damage, lands that last breath. Linces gets the kill. Tax has gone over the wall and really wishes he wasn't, because he is the one who is taxed. And the returns are going straight to Dusty. Senkux falls. Chrisberg cannot get the kill, but does eventually after the stopwatch wears out. Linces gets that one at the end alongside Den Voxnay, and they come out 3. Make that 4-for-1 in the 3v4.
I demand a replay of that. Backlund gets a Beyblade ultimate off, getting the extra kind of spin just before the ultimate dashes in and out of his wind wall. Yes, you have to try and get these opportunistic picks of Astralis, but how do you do that against a Dusty lineup which is playing this well?
They're thinking about getting at least an inhibitor here. How much more do they feel like they
Look at
decide
Kerberos
not
top.
to shove on? Yeah, they got curb top. They just get the inhibitor. They'll back on out. Keeper has respawn, gets a stun off with the Linces.
Oh, not like this.
He does have
no, not like this.
Go. Linces, the stacks. No! 10 pages thrown in the bonfire.
Okay, had this kill gone to Chrisberg, I'd say there's hope. That was a 700 gold bounty shutdown, and Chrisberg has been playing out of his freaking mind on this guy. So I think if anyone on Astralis, he can try to carry a game, especially since he's on his one of his most proficient champions, right? But here, Senkax, Taxa, they're trying to flank from the side. But there's 3 members of Dusty right there, and 2 out of 3 of them are the strongest, with Linces being there, which means that the double knockup is going to land onto Carlsen. He's going to instantly disappear, and Taxa's HP, but I don't know where it went. Because it was there a second, I blinked, it disappeared. Chrisberg dives in, he was undying up to this point, grabs a shutdown, cannot 1v3, unfortunately, for Astralis. But again, I feel like a lot of these fights have been so sloppy from Astralis because the power and the strength of that Kai'Sa is there. They just have not necessarily used it to their advantage, or Chrisberg has been in a position where he gets caught out, he has to back off, cannot rejoin, and Dusty are bringing in 5 members full force.
Got a 3-item Kai'Sa now, and 2 minutes until what would be a Hex Soul point for you. It's not the Hex Soul itself, but maybe, just maybe, that can be a win condition if you can stall long enough and keep Chrisberg being a deadly threat. Kind of agree with you there, Georgie. He is that potential light in the dark right now. Nymera, looks like you've spotted something you've got to talk about.
Yeah, because if you're going to start playing around this Kai'Sa, Astralis are going to run into an issue, because, yeah, the Kai'Sa is really strong. That is a win condition. Problem is, if you split the fight, someone else is doing damage to you, like that, the Talir or the Yasuo.
Oh, so much damage. Shut down for Senkax. That is the Yasuo. The Yasuo getting something back, though. Keeper gets out a massive seismic shove into a last breath. Secures 2 already for Lincers. Chris Berger's running away with the single remaining member. A triple for Lincers. A quadra for Lincers. This Talia is just monstrous. Leandri's anguish is exactly what you'll be seeing on the faces of every member of Astralis. 25 stacks in the book. And it will be a game 1 victory for Dusty, and in what style it's done too.
And Chris Berg can't do it in that final fight. All of his damage goes straight into a wind wall, and they are walled out of this first game.
Game's over just like that. 10-1, 12.